Hi, everybody. Andrew Champagne here alongside JD Fox for the first edition of Champagne and JD in 2021. If you haven't seen our best of from 2020 yet, go to our main channel page, check that out. But do so after you listen to us. Join Chris Griffin from Sam Houston Race Park to talk about the upcoming meet down there in the Lone Star State. Chris, you need no introduction, but I'm going to give you one anyway because that's just the kind of guy I am. The track announcer down there also does a lot of really cool stuff on social media, not just for Sam Houston, but for horse racing in general. Chris, welcome back to the show, buddy.
Hey, it's great to be back, man. The intro is fantastic. I think that's probably new since the last time I appeared with you guys, but just really excited to be on and happy to be back at it. And we're ready to roll. You are the final interview I think I've got right before opening night, so I'm looking forward to it. I'm glad the excitement's there, and we're going to talk about some wagering and the great things that we got going on here at Sam Houston Race Park, and ready to turn the page, as I'm sure everybody is, ready to get 2021 rolling and have a great season. And 6:45, we kick it off. We're excited.
Gino had mentioned that we were sort of the last stop on Media Row for you throughout the week. You've been talking to Gino, talking to Jason Beam, and we're happy you're here with us. And we're excited, really excited to get Sam Houston back underway. The less said about the year 2020 in general, the better, but my heart still aches for the way that you guys' thoroughbred meet ended back in March. It had nothing to do with COVID or with anything else going on in the world. It was the last card of the season. It was a fluke power outage, and it was a horrible way to end a fantastic meet where you guys gained a lot of fans, gained a lot of handle, and you did so by being very, very friendly to the customer. The first thing anybody's going to say about Sam Houston, 12% takeout on multi-race wagers. As a handicapper, I know I appreciate that.
Yeah, I mean, it's 2020 was a weird ending. This will hopefully be the last time I tell this story as well. But we just had a storm blow in the night before, and it wasn't that bad of a storm, but it just took out one of our lighting structures, our transformer. And so when we turned them on Texas Champions Night, it just unfortunately did not work out. So we didn't have the lights, and it led to us canceling that night, and then COVID did affect us after that point, because we then did have to cancel the season after that. So yeah, it was a tough ending, but again, we're ready to turn the page. We're excited. The horsemen have responded. We are putting out a better friendly product. That is what we are all about with the low takeout. Everyone talks about takeout pretty consistently across the board at any racetrack that you go to, and we hope that this 12% takeout is really going to be appealing to folks to get involved. And as I said, the horsemen have responded, so we're excited about it. One thing we're going to talk about later on is the mandatory payout. But yeah, I mean, the money that was not paid out in the Space City Jackpot Pick 6 on Texas Champions Day now comes into opening night. So into tomorrow. The bet will be offered tomorrow with a mandatory payout on Saturday. So we're looking forward to that. And there's a lot of exciting things, a lot of nice fields, big field size. Get a couple on the turf this weekend, and we'll just see more turf racing as the season progresses, and see some Texas spreads, see some great racing at the end of the month when we get into the Houston Racing Festival. So there's a long list of things, and we are at day one approaching. And once we get it started, once I get back in the booth, it's like any other old adage. It's like, once you get in the booth, turn the lights on, hit the microphone, it's right back like you're riding a bike. So I'm excited for it, and everybody is here too. I know Texas is excited as well.
Yeah, definitely, Chris. And we mentioned the mandatory Space City Pick 6 payout on Saturday. Obviously, the pool alive on opening night and Friday, but that's kind of a lead into some wagering changes with the Pick 6.
Yeah, so we are there's 51,876 going into tomorrow, and then there will be a mandatory payout on Saturday. So even if the wager is hit on Friday for a jackpot type situation, the bet will still be offered on a mandatory on Saturday. So after Saturday, management, everyone, as far as Sam Houston Race Park has talked about with the Space City Pick 6, it's going to move to a non-jackpot standard Pick 6 with a 50-cent minimum. So it'll still be the low takeout of 12%, but it will be not a jackpot situation. It'll be a 50-cent minimum wager. And we think that'll appeal to bettors as well. We think that not offering the jackpot there in that situation is something that people will respond well to, and we will still do what we need to do this weekend and that money's there, so we have to make sure that we take care of the bettors in that fashion. And once we get through that, then yes, next Thursday, January 14th, on our 4 o'clock program on Thursdays, we're going to start the 50-cent pick six. Still Space City pick six, just the 50-cent pick six.
You mentioned a really cool phrase, JD, and I'm sorry to interrupt, but you mentioned a really cool phrase that I needed to hit home on, and that is taking care of the bettors. This is something that a lot of people, especially the more vocal horse players among us, have been asking for, is the whole re-examination of the jackpot philosophy. So just talk a little bit about what went into that decision, if you could.
I wasn't really a big part of the decision, but I know that there you can however you feel about jackpots. Some people really enjoy them. Some people just aren't on board with them. And so Sam Houston Race Park felt it was best. Again, the management team, and I don't want to speak for them too much because they are the ones that are making the decisions, but they just felt like this is a better path for us to go right now, is to offer the jackpot over the weekend because we have that 51,000 carried over, and then move to a non-jackpot situation going in the rest of the meet, because it'll work out better for the bettors, we feel, and it's going to work out better for Sam Houston Race Park. And I had some stuff happen over the summer where I had to do explanations and whatnot on jackpots. So if I don't have to be the messenger in those situations, it's always nice as well. But we're just excited. The low takeout, the 12% horizontal wagers. There's outside of the pick six, there's still plenty of other wagering opportunities if you like to get involved in pick fives and pick fours and whatever the wager is that you like and enjoy. We're offering the nice field sizes. We've got competitive trainers. We've got competitive jockeys. We've got, everything is just really in a good, positive atmosphere right now here in Houston, Texas. And we're hoping that you respond out there. The bettors that are watching and listening and everything that's going on, we are putting out what we can do. I'm shooting all kinds of videos with my masks on. I got my mask right here, but when I'm shooting videos and trying to bring added coverage, let's show you what we're doing here, and we're hoping they respond. We'll find out tomorrow, but I think it's going to be a positive thing.
Yeah, and I think the last thing I'll touch on with the Space City Pick Six is I think it would have been tough if it went from a 20-cent wager to a $1 wager. So management going with that 50-cent base denomination, I think, is a smart move there with the 12% takeout. Obviously, night one is taking place on Friday, but already a big card. Nominations close on January 20th for the Houston Racing Festival, January 31st, spotlighted by the Grade 3 Houston Ladies Classic and the Grade 3 John Connolly Turf Cup, but it looks like a stacked card, as it always is, and the quality of racing and the quality of horses just continues to improve year in, year out at Sam Houston.
Yeah, we're promoting the nominations. Obviously, you saw it on our social media, and you can go to SHRP Racing and at SHRP to see those nominations and see them fill up. The Grade 3 Houston Ladies Classic, it was a fantastic race last season, 2 years ago, Midnight Bisou. So as an announcer, I'm very lucky to have the opportunity to call really great races like that. So that is for selfish reasons for me is fantastic to be able to call those nice races. And then you talk about the John B. Connolly Turf Cup, very traditional race here at Sam Houston Race Park, and going the long distance on the grass. And then the Texas Turf Mile had a great response last year. When you're talking about 3-year-olds and getting on the turf and being able to go that 1 mile distance, we feel like there's a lot of horses that are going to fit that condition, looking for that type of race at $200,000. It's a real nice race. Still have the Stonerside Sprint as well. We'll have plenty of opportunities, and it's our only Sunday afternoon program at 1:45 on January 31st. And it's nice to have it at the beginning of the season. Everybody always asks about having it at the beginning of the season. It's kind of the big day, and you have it kind of towards the front of the racing meet. And we're just excited for that. I'm looking forward to that, and I got to make sure that I have a better suit than I had last season. I know Andrew was even giving me a shout on the. Did you call it salmon or pink? Did you call it? What did you call it? I think you called it salmon.
I believe the people that liked it called it salmon, and the people that hated it called it pink. So
how do you hate a pink jacket? Who hates a pink jacket? No, it was it just felt like that was the moment. You had to rock it. Got a new suit, and we'll see. Well, I won't go too crazy with the outfit, but I'll find something nice to wear that day. Make sure we look good.
I'm just saying it was out of the Craig Sager collection that Kevin Garnett told him to like take off and burn. It was that kind of suit. I think it's still out there on Twitter if you want to dig back a year and find it. Maybe we'll throw that up as an overlay if JD wants to go searching for that after we're done recording. But kidding aside, it's a lot of fun seeing racing at Sam Houston. There are big fields and there are big barns that you know about. Steve Asmussen is there. Carl Broberg is there. Jonathan Long going from Northern California out and has a string at Sam Houston. A couple of other pretty big barns. A couple of horsemen that you'll know if you're a Naira fan. Raylu Gutierrez is wintering at Sam Houston. He's another guy that could be in line for a pretty big meet.
Yeah, a lot of some new names, new faces, as you say. From a training standpoint, Carl Broberg, Steve Asmussen, like you said, you're going to see them a lot in the entry box. You're going to see them win a lot of races. So from a wagering standpoint, it's when do you jump on board and when you try and beat them. From a betting standpoint, you talk about the trainers that are coming, along with Jonathan Wong, Frank Lucarelli, another big name from the West Coast that's going to be joining us this season. And then you're taking a look at the year that Austin Gustafson had. You know, I spoke about him on a previous podcast. He's had just a phenomenal run here in 2020, and I think it's going to carry over into 2021. I believe I got him singled in my late pick 4, but I just think you find value with Austin Gustafson right now. Are they going to be hammering him down to favoritism throughout the season? Could happen, but when trainers are going good, they've got the barn rocking and rolling. I think that's a name to watch out for. The jockey colony is very interesting that you bring that up, and they're going to be competitive. You know, you do have new names. No David Cabrera this season, no Deshaun Parker. So when you're taking some of the top riders out of this colony from last season, that creates some big opportunities for some folks to fill in. So as far as who is that's going to end up being, that remains to be seen. I'm sure many of the followers and folks are going to throw out their ideas, who they think is going to become one of the top jocks around here. But Stuart Elliott is obviously a name you've got to watch. He's going to ride for Steve Asmussen a lot. Raylu Gutierrez, we'll see how that works out, but he's got a lot of momentum coming into this meet. Lane Luzzy is going to get into some really good barns, and we've talked about Sophie Doyle, and the list kind of goes on and on and on. So we'll see who's going to step up to the plate and who's going to really perform, because this is a real big opportunity for them to kind of get into that upper echelon here, top 3, top 5.
Yeah, last thing, Chris, before we jump into Friday night's card and look at the late pick 4, we talked a lot about what you've been doing on social media to promote the track, and I think really what you guys are doing with as far as analysis goes, you've got a hitter's row of great analysis that are going to be helping you out with their picks and selections for this meet.
Yeah, Andrew will love this one. You know, I can handicap and I have a good time and whatnot, but you got to surround yourself with people that just seem to know a little bit more on the handicapping side than you might know. And that's the approach the Sam Houston Race Park took. You know, Trey Styles, who's going to be joining me, a bunch, an NHC Hall of Famer. The guy knows what he's doing when he handicaps races. Andy Villanueva is going to jump in here as he's down in the region and he's got things going. He'll chime in and he's going to give us some selections. Plenty of the Twitter followers are going to give you their handicapping selections and tell us who they like. And then Jessica Paquette has just been a joy to work with and meet and get her involved. And really excited to have her on board. And we've got a couple videos that we'll throw out in the next couple of days from her handicapping insight. And I think she's a star. You know, I just think that she's got she knows handicapping. She knows the horses. She's around horses all the time. She knows breeding, and she's just dialed in. And I think that she's going to really, really add a lot to what we're doing here at Sam Houston Race Park and bringing some insight. And, you know, the one thing that it's tough for me sometimes, because when I'm calling the races, it's very hard to have my phone and be like kind of staying dialed in and tweeting back and forth and kind of keeping up with the messages, because I want to make sure, as an announcer, I want to make sure that I'm still keeping focused on my duty and my job. And I hope people are understanding to that. It's that I'm not ignoring you or anything like that. It's just when I'm in the booth, it's a little bit of a different switch for me at that time. But when I turn that microphone off and I can bring analysis and we can go shoot some videos, I'm happy to do it, and I want to do it and bring people that coverage, because it's what we do. It's what we love. You know, it's a professional sport. So let's cover it that way. And that's the approach that I take. And we've got a great cast that's involved, and I cannot leave out Martha Clausen, the legendary Martha Clausen of this region, who just covers this region and knows the horsemen and knows this area and knows the history. If I need to know something right away, I can text Martha and just say, who won this race and such year, and she's just got it dialed in. So a really great group of people that I'm happy to work with, and I'm hoping that they enjoy working with me. And let's just keep everyone safe and get this season rolling and get through it. It's going to be a really exciting season for us in Houston.
No kidding. And one other name that I want to throw out there is the morning line man at Sam Houston, Nick Tamero. A lot of you out there might know his name. He is the World Class handicapper as well. So there's a lot of people power going into this meet at Sam Houston. A lot of horsepower too, and a lot of really fun handicapping puzzles on opening night. With that in mind, we're going to handicap some horse races here in 2021. Let's go into this late pick four. It starts in race number 7 on the 10-race program. Remember, what time is first post, Chris?
So first post is going to be 6:45 Central Time.
Yep, 6:45 Central Time. 9:27 Central Time is the late pick 4. So that's 7:27 for me Pacific Time, 8:27 for you, JB, in Arizona, which does not observe daylight savings time for some reason that we're just there's a lot going on there. Arizona horse racing. Anyway. Race number 7, it's a claiming event for older fillies and mares going a mile and a 16th. We've got a big field in this one. And JD, what order do you want to go in here? You're the one driving the bus, so you call it.
I'm going to give my strongest opinion I have all card here. So I'm going to lead off here, and I'm singling Holy Creed to open things up. And really, you look at the daughter of Jimmy Creed, the turf efforts at Remington Park, both the Maiden Breaker and the allowance event, 2 very strong efforts, came back on dirt and obviously faced a much tougher field and maybe didn't like the surface. I think getting back to a Sam Houston turf course that she ran on back in February and ran pretty well on, I think she's head and shoulders in this field despite the 6-1 morning line. In the mating break and score at 16-1 at Remington Park, she beat the morning line favorite Unforeseen by a length and a quarter. And obviously the one difference in kind of their progression is Unforeseen didn't have the clunker on the dirt. Holy Creed did, and I think Holy Creed's a standout single for me to start things. Andrew, I want to move on to you, and I know you've included Holy Creed, but you have one other horse you want to talk about.
Yes, I picked Holy Creed second. I do not like the favorite in this race. That's number 1, Unforeseen, a deep closer drawing the rail. I usually don't like playing those horses simply because a lot can go wrong, and it only takes one little thing to go wrong in order for a horse like that to not hit the board or to underperform. My top selection, though, is my price play of the sequence. Shout out to, in my opinion, the namesake for this horse, Gino Bacola. I'm referring to number 9, G's a Little Crazy, who hits me as the lone speed in this race. I think this one sits a great trip akin to the one she set 2 back when she broke her maiden in wire-to-wire fashion over at Remington. She was in way too tough last time out. She was 9th in an allowance race where the winner has since come back to win. JD, I'm sure you like the name of the winner, Chikara, our obscure wrestling reference of the show that we need to throw out there in some way, shape, or form. Kidding aside, G's a Little Crazy. I think it's back with her friends. She's 10-1 on the morning line. I think we're going to get that price because there are some heavy-hitting barns in here. You've got Asmussen, you've got Broberg, and then you get G's a Little Crazy, who has a clunker last time out. But I think you draw a line through it. I think Sophie Doyle is going to have a very easy time getting to the front end, and I think she could get brave. I'll use Holy Creed for a lot of the reasons JD mentioned, trying to beat the favorite to kick things off. 7-9 for me in the first leg.
And Chris, you've gone deep in this opening leg here with 5 charges.
Yeah, I single a little bit later on in the pick 4, and it's our first time getting, when we're getting on the John B. Connolly turf course, and you see in the running lines here, there's some layoffs involved, obviously. These horses are ready to get back on the grass, and they've had to, there's a little bit of time off on some of them, and so when they're getting out there, and then I also see some speed. I don't know. It's interesting that Andrew is talking about the number 9 going right to the front and getting an easy lead. I didn't entirely see it that way. I wasn't sure that you're going to see this horse alone on the front end. It's possible, but I think with fresh horses coming off the layoff like this, I think there's going to be a couple that do end up going. It's pretty interesting to see a couple of these horses getting on the turf for the first time. When you're talking about the number 2, Clay's Moonstone, Jessica Paquette, I'm going to give her a high five on that because she was pointing out that horse and talking about some of the pedigree in there. as far as the grass is concerned. I will end up on the number 8, and it is 3-1, and I'm also playing the favorite, obviously, in there and unforeseen. So some people may look at it and be like, why is he going so deep when he likes the top 2 choices in the wagering? That's why I'm going to go a little bit thinner towards the back of my pick 4. So I want to get through this first leg. I've heard a few opinions on this race, and quite a few people do not like the number 1 unforeseen. When that usually happens, then unforeseen will then just show up for a top barn with top connections, top rider, and end up winning the race. So I can't leave them off the ticket here in the first leg. I'll put them in. My top choice will be the number 8, Good Fight. On the grass, I think is a little bit more tactical than is shown in the running lines, and I think can find the right spot. Has an opportunity. The win came at Louisiana Downs. Then went to Remington, ran a very okay 5th the last time out. Return win that race. A lot of familiar foes that are coming back in this spot as well. But Carl Broberg's going to win a lot of races. Let's put him on the ticket to kick off the meet. Make sure we get through the first leg, hopefully, with the pick 4.
I personally just think the 7 should get home and then we'll all move on. All 3 of us cannot hit, but there are many scenarios in which 2 out of 3 of us can hit. Let's just all get through the first leg and move on. And I personally think we should all just get through the 8th race and move on without even trying to run it. This is an allowance race for horses going 6 furlongs. And you mentioned Carl Broberg, Chris. I'm not getting cute here. I think Carl Broberg has the 2 best horses in the race. Number 1, Baozun, and number 1A, Best Little Man. Either of these horses, I think, can win. And it's a case where maybe they're not necessarily overwhelmingly head and shoulders the best in the field. I don't think they're going to be odds on. But when you got the chance to use 2 key contenders for the price of 1, I think you take it. Now, if you're looking for a horse to potentially use underneath at a price, I don't think number 3, Daryl's Little Diablo, can win, but it would not surprise me if that horse hit the board off since August. But if you look at the running lines, 2 back, this horse beat Algebra, the 3-1 morning line, second choice, by 2 lengths. Granted, that was on turf, but this horse also ran 5th in a $75,000 stakes race back in 2019 as well. I think there's some talent here. Maybe they eventually want to get him on the grass. Maybe he needs a race, but that's baked into the price. I will have a couple of bucks on an ice cold 1-3 exacta because I think Daryl's Little Diablo might be well met. However, on top, give me the Carl Broberg entry. I'm singling and I'm moving on. And as you can see, I'm going pretty light in the first 2 races because I feel the need to spread in races 3 and 4.
And I'm going off the deep end here in this race a little bit, Chris. So I'm going to let you go next here, and you're 3 deep here in this leg.
Yeah, I did go 3 deep in here. My top choice is good. Andrew spoke everything that needed to be spoken about the entry, but the number 2, Caddo Fox, Danny Sorensen, he's been doing it a long time, and I got a chance to catch up with him last season. Just a fantastic horseman. It's good to see him up here on Caddo Fox. Has ridden the horse before. I think has speed, can run fresh, and I think has a shot in here. Has been off a little bit. Gets over here to Sam Houston Race Park. Has run here 3 times with those 2 seconds, but this one's got speed. I think being fresh can show you a little something. Danny Sorensen puts this one in the right spot. Has a shot. 8-1. If I'm gonna spread a little bit, and I got those favorites sprinkled in that first leg, then I got to pare it down a little bit. Yes, I've got the favorite on there, but my top choice is going to be the number 2, Caddo Fox. So let's see what happens. I think getting to the front end, try and show the way a little bit. Decent allowance events. The last 2, Best Little Man was in that spot. There's 2 fourths as I'm looking back at it. So why not? This one just offered this little bit of a rest here, and now showing that fresh speed. And Danny Sorensen, why not? Second leg, pick 4. Let's see.
All right, I'm off the deep end a little bit. Well, I share 3 of your horses, Chris. My top selection is actually the 7, True Saint, in this spot, and I really look at who True Saint has been running against at Remington. This is just a head and shoulder, I feel, in the last few races versus the field here. It obviously was running at very long odds, but is fresh compared to a lot of these horses coming back off an 18-day layoff. I think can sit a trip behind the early speed of Caddo Fox, who I've included in my ticket as well. I worry that both of the entry mates might be a little far back, so I'm looking at the 2 and the 7 as key contenders, and obviously I actually think the 6 might be the best of the closing efforts potentials here. So I'm including the entry, but I'm kind of hedging against the entry. I really like the 2, the 6, and the 7 here in leg number 2. As we move on to the third leg, of the late pick 4 sequence on Friday night. We've got a 5.5 furlong claiming event. $5,000 is the price tag on the dirt surface, and we've got a full field of 11 signed on for this one. And Chris, I'm going to let you lead off here because I think you have the only strong opinion of us here in this race.
Yeah, I'm going to trust what I've seen. Austin Gustafson, like I said, I spoke about him. Phone battery is going a little low, so I'm going to be very brief. But the number 4, going to be single, ran 2 races at Fairgrounds, now comes here to Sam Houston Race Park, took money in both of those efforts. I think if you go back to the other 2 wins at Remington Park, this one looks better than the 6-1 proposition there. Could be a little bit lower if you're looking at those numbers. I think you could see that 6-1 based off of the last 2 efforts for a good barn that is doing very well. Let's take a shot in here. It's a big field. I do know that, but you got to take your shot somewhere. This is where I do take the shot. So number 4, Arch Rival, I will go with that runner there in race number 9.
All right, Andrew, we're both going a little deep here. Maybe one horse you'd like to highlight here, as we don't want to lose Chris.
Sure, really quickly, Arch Rival is my tepid top selection, but the thing that worries me just a little bit is he's a deep closer. It's only 5.5 furlongs. He needs a lot to go right. I do think he's the most talented horse in this race. I think 6-1 is a really nice price, but in this kind of a big field with a deep closer, I'm worried about potential traffic trouble, so I spread a little bit. I'm not in love with the Broberg trained entry. Gino Baccola really likes number 6, Eternal Force, and I get why. A lot of early speed with that one. Wouldn't necessarily surprise me if Eternal Force went to the front and got brave. I'm 5 deep, though. 1, 3, 4, 6, and 7.
And I am deep as well here. I am 4 deep, 1, 2, 3, and 6. And my top selection is going to be the 20-1 morning line shot, the 2 Runaway Wind. And really what I'm looking back is, can this horse reclaim some of the form from early 2020? This horse was running really well at the fairgrounds, hopped between barns, had 3 straight starts where this horse was claimed at the $15,000 level. And Broberg was involved there, had the horse only for 1 race, brought it to Lone Star, and that kind of started the more like northernly Midwest trip, and now back in Texas at Sam Houston. I really think this horse can get out on a loose lead off the 55-day layoff. I think Uncorked Humor has a little bit of speed, but I really think Runaway Wind can run away from this field, and at 20-1, I have to include him on my ticket. So 1, 2, 3, and 6 in race number 9. Race number 10 here to close out the sequence is going to be a maiden event for 3-year-olds, 6 furlongs on dirt. And Chris, we're going to go ahead and lead off with you in case your phone battery dies.
Man, it's going to be tough. 6 furlongs. It's a maiden event. I think the battery's going to make it. It's going to make it. It's got that Texas battery going right now. But
where's the wire? Where's the wire?
I know. The number 2 Twilight Curfew, odds on in a maiden event, going the 6 furlongs against state breds. I know it's open, but the horse has won before, and I mean it was a stakes event and got disqualified. 4-1, a horse that's broken his maiden, and then you see through the field that you've got these connections that are going to take money. Foldham is going to take money at the windows. I mean, it's Steve Asmussen for Winchell Thoroughbreds. And from a pedigree standpoint, I'm sure you guys know who Foldham is related to. And then that's just, it's just going to bode well from a betting standpoint to say, why not take the proven commodity here a little bit? Has speed. Ernesto Valdez Jimenez, Ronnie Cravens. I think the 2 Twilight Curfew can get the job done. I do have Foldham in there because Foldham looked to be on a pretty hot pace at Churchill Downs at 5-2 is going to be in the mix. I mean, you can't not have this horse on the ticket. A little bit of a rest since November 29th. The horse should improve. So I think that, 2-5, I think I get through it, but then you start looking at the outside and there's horses that can run. J.R. Caldwell's got a nice 3-year-old in there. Brett Calhoun, how do you leave him off a ticket here at Sam Houston? But I'm going to go that maybe the 12 Prospera can improve after the debut, an outside post, big field towards the end of the night. I'm going to stay away from that one tonight. probably jump on that one second time out. But I will end up with the new number 2, Twilight Curfew. I think the 4-1 is a great price, and I think can break the maiden here and get it done.
So that's a $15 ticket that Chris puts out, 5 by 3 by 1 by 2. Andrew, you're going deep here, as am I, and a couple horses that Chris mentioned on your ticket.
Yeah, Fold'em hits me as a movie that we've seen before. Steve Asmussen, a couple of times last year at Sam Houston, brought these incredibly well-bred horses down to Sam Houston from the Kentucky circuit just to get their maidens broken before potentially going on to a career in the breeding shed. You get a winning Daughter of Curlin out of a Tappet mare. That's worth a lot, especially to a breeder. So wouldn't surprise me if Fold'em was ready to go here. It's January. Who knows? Maybe you get a win and then you shut a horse off to the breeding shed. Who knows? Or maybe this horse is just well meant off of that race at Churchill Downs where she may have just gotten tired. So that's my top pick. You mentioned, Chris, number 12, Prospera. Big works. And a good pedigree herself by Twirling Candy out of a Tappet mare. Wouldn't surprise me at all if Prospera was ready to run. The outside post, a little bit of a question mark. We'll see how the track is playing. And obviously, this is a first-time starter going against some horses that have run before. You mentioned Twilight Curfew. I'm also going to use My Girl Lexi, who has shown a lot of early speed at Churchill as well. She's not going to be far off, and she's got Lane Luzzy, who we all think is primed for a pretty big meet. So I'm using those 4, 2, 5, 7, and 12. And I got to tell you, you mentioned a horse to take a look at second time out. My horse in that description is number 9, Jubella, by Mineshaft out of a Macho Uno mare. Gee, you think that horse wants to go 2 turns? I can't wait to see that horse stretch out.
And I am including the 4 horses that Andrew had selected in my ticket, but I'm also including the 3 Hooked on a Kiss. I think that first effort at Albuquerque was nothing to sneeze at. I think really got bumped and hammered out of the gate at Remington. Didn't really want to persevere with the rest of the trip. I'm going to forgive that effort and give Hooked on a Kiss another shot at 15-1, but I'm 5 deep there as well. So I'm going a little bit deeper in the pockets despite the 6-1 morning line single in the first. I'm going with a $40 ticket. We'll put Andrews up again quickly here. He's got a $20 ticket and Chris with a $15 ticket as well. We'll update these with scratches and whatnot for Friday. And I know we want to get to our final thoughts segment. And I think I know what Chris is going to say in terms of, hey, watch and wager on Sam Houston on Friday. But Chris, feel free to plug anything you want to plug here with your fading phone battery.
Yeah, you guys have said it all. Hopefully the signal was coming in okay enough. Our signal will be better for Sharpie time, but looking forward to bringing people to action. Just looking forward to getting back at it. You know, it was an unexpected thing going on in 2020, and then I was at the fairs, and then I got a chance at Monmouth Park, and now we're back here at Sam Houston Race Park, and it feels like it's been a while, but I'm ready to see some familiar faces, and I'm ready to get back in the action, and I know the horsemen are excited, I know the bettors are excited, and we're excited here at Sam Houston Race Park, so we hope that you guys stop on by. First posts on Friday and Saturday, 6:45 p.m. Don't forget about the mandatory payout on Saturday on the Space City Pick 6. Don't forget about the 12% takeout, low takeout on the horizontal wagers, Houston Racing Festival, all those great things. SHRP.com. I don't know what else can I plug. I think I've plugged it all. I think I've done the duty here, but we're ready to roll. We're looking forward to it. It's been a pleasure to be on, and I appreciate your guys' added coverage. It means a lot to us, and we just look forward to welcoming everybody to our signal tomorrow night.
Of course, no problem. Thanks for joining us as always, Chris. And we're going to take a quick break, and we'll be back with final thoughts for myself and Andrew here on Champagne and JD. Thanks a lot for Chris Griffin joining us before that big card on Sam Houston Race Park on Friday night. That's going to be a lot of fun, and we're looking forward to wagering, and we're probably both going to be on social media giving out some selections as well. Andrew, do you have any plays for any other websites for Sam Houston, or is it just going to be Gimmick Andrew on the Twitter?
Oh, Gimmick Andrew on the Twitter. Oh, here we go. Gimmick Andrew's actually resting up on the couch right now. He's actually playing with my cat and getting bitten with the appropriate amount of cat hate that he needs in order to be appropriately fueled for Friday night at Sam Houston. No, it's going to be a lot of fun. We're looking forward to this. Sam Houston does a lot of things right. I'm still gutted with how they had to end the meet last year with that power outage. My goodness, we both really liked that card. I was on Gino's show leading up to that card. It was a 10-11 race program. They were going to make a lot of money that night as far as handle goes. It hurt. It stunk. This meet is going to be really, really good. There's a lot of fun wagering opportunities. And the important thing is, regardless of who you like, what wagers you like, get involved. There's something for everybody. They card a lot of different races at different distances, different surfaces, different conditions, a lot of names you're going to recognize. And to be honest, if you're out there and you're a takeout snob and you're not playing Sam Houston, just shut up. You're not going to get better than 12% takeout on multi-race exotics. You're just not.
Yeah, we hear the players pick 5 all the time. You're not going to find another track anywhere that's offering the same takeout for pick 4 and pick 5. It's great. And the other thing I'll mention, we didn't mention it while Chris was on, but for the Houston Racing Festival, we're going to have Jessica Paquette on the show to preview that with us. So excited to have our good friend Jessica on as she's back working with the track. She's going to be in her element talking about horses and handicapping races, and they'd have to fly her down for emergency race calls if they needed it. But, she's obviously done a great job in her career at Suffolk, and obviously with that track no longer being around, we're happy that she's landed some analysis duties with Sam Houston. I'm going to take the final thought here and set up Andrew really quickly and just say that, we're happy to be in 2021, and hopefully things get better for everybody from here. I'm just going to keep it nice and simple like that, Andrew, because I know you've got something fun you want to say about a certain circuit that you love and some rules.
Okay. First of all, on a serious note, I'm happy JD said that. Look, there's a lot of the same problems that we're going to be navigating through in 2021 that we navigated through in 2020. There's still a pandemic. There's still a very divided society that's not growing any closer. It's chaotic. Just be kind to people. It costs nothing to be nice. Remember that. If you hear anything else that we say on the show, it's chaotic out there. Just be kind where you can. That goes a long way. Now, with that in mind, a convergence of the 2 worst rules in New York racing came into play Thursday in the 4th race at Aqueduct. If you've been following the New York circuit, you know about the marriage of Katie Davis and Trevor McCarthy. First of all, if either of them are out there, any of their family members are out there, congratulations to the happy couple on their recent nuptials. Hope everything works out. They certainly look very happy. Proud of them. The New York Gaming Commission has ruled that all races where both riders have mounts need to have those mounts as coupled entries. I have yet to see anyone, and I mean anyone, who thinks this is a good idea. This was a rule that was clearly put in place by somebody that has never watched a horse race in their life. If those 2 are coupled, the Ortiz brothers need to be coupled. Any related trainers need to be coupled. My goodness, races at the Finger Lakes with 5 horses and 4 of them trained by Engleharts. What are you going to do there? Anyway, so there's that rule. And then before the 4th race at Aqueduct, another of my least favorite rules came in play as 1/2 of a 2-part entry scratched at the gate. JD, as you know, the other part of that entry ran for purse money only. Now, that horse ran up the track, so thankfully it wasn't a factor for any wagering purposes. But I hate every bit of this, because if you bet that entry at 15-1 because you liked the horse that was running, had that horse won, you'd have gotten nothing at all whatsoever. I understand some of the arguments out there about protecting bettors, and they look great on paper. But this in practice potentially penalizes people who are right. And I can't possibly advocate for that in any way, shape, or form. There probably isn't a good solution to this right now, other than the one that I'm going to suggest and that I have written in the past. Just do away with entries, every bit of them, until we figure something out that works for everybody in a better way than this current rule. There has to be something out there. There are smart people in New York that need to get into a room and figure this out. Because right now, these 2 rules that are intended to protect bettors are actively working against a lot of people involved. Less betting interest means less handle, means lower payouts, means a lot of really silly things in the grand scheme of things. And here's hoping New York racing comes together and figures that out sooner rather than later. But the more important thing is it's a new year. It's 2021. Be kind, people. Like, we're not going to dive into what happened yesterday in Washington. It's just not. We're not that kind of show. Be good to one another, really. You don't have to agree with everything someone else says in order to not brandish the torch anytime they say something you don't like. Be nice, be kind. That's how we're going to get better as a society. That's how we're going to get through this. And that's about all I've got to say on that.
The one thing I'll add to it, Andrew, not that it needs to be added on, but you mentioned NYRA and the entry rules. I have a hard time with coupled entries in other jurisdictions where they're allowed to cancel them a race or two before the race goes off and you're stuck in a multi-race exotic, and maybe you're stuck with the half of the entry you didn't want. That happens as well. There's so many issues with wagering and coupled entries that far outweigh the benefits of them. I just think it's an archaic practice that most states have gone away from. It's time for all states to get away from, and we're not going into the national horse racing argument. I'm not promoting that. I'm just saying if your state allows coupled entries, time to think about chucking them out.
Yeah. The one exception that I may make to that is if you've got a rabbit, that I think speaks to trainer intention, and I think that's reasonably okay. But also consider that maybe horse players aren't stupid, and if you throw a $4,000 claiming horse with 1/4 mile speed into a grade 2 when you've got a deep closer, maybe they'll be able to figure it out.
When's the last time you saw a rabbit in a race, though? That
fair question.
Gone away.
I mean, do we have to go all the way back to when Better Talk Now had rabbits in those Breeders' Cup races?
I think you almost have to.
At least on a high level.
On a high level, that's all I can think of ever since we got rid of letting anybody really get into the Kentucky Derby and having 5 furlong sprinters set ridiculous paces and allowing deep closers to go in. I mean, that's the last time we really saw it. Yeah. And you never saw it officially with a trainer entering a super speedy horse and then a deep closer, but you saw enough connections that were similar to where that would benefit them, and nothing you can prove. And I think just really that's something that's just gone away in horse racing. So I'm not as concerned with that. But again, valid points on both accounts. And we really appreciate you guys joining us and joining us for year 2 of this show. We're going to have our year anniversary here pretty soon. A little scary.
What are you getting me?
Hopefully a winning ticket, because I haven't had one of those on the show yet.
I'll send you my list. I have an Amazon list. It is extensive. I'm not picky. Just anyone near the top that has a whole bunch of digits on it.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of bowling balls, isn't it?
I'm just saying, California can't outlaw bowling forever. And when it comes back, I'm going to be ready.
All right, Andrew, hit him with the catchphrase, my friend.
All right. Thanks again very much to Chris Griffin. Remember, Sam Houston opens on Friday night. 12% takeout on all those multi-race exotics. So get involved. We'll be tweeting about it. We'll be talking about it. And that won't be the last time you hear about Sam Houston on this show. For track announcer Chris Griffin, for co-host and technical wizard JD Fox, I'm Andrew Champagne. Happy New Year. Best of luck in 2021. But remember, we're still in a pandemic. Be safe, wear your mask, and stay off the beaches.
See ya.